So I've gone over the repaired area with primer to fill in some of the more minor scratches, and then sanded that primer back. I had one low spot there on one of the welded cracks, which I've just used a little bit of glazing putty. But in general, as you can see, very little additional material was needed to get the panel to the point where we're ready for paint. So yeah, so I've taped off the panel, this area of the panel, and next step is to paint it. So this next section of the video is going to be focused on the painting of the panel, touch-ups, and the final detailing. For the paint, I'm using color matched paint from Color Right. So the gloss black, Honda gloss black, and the Honda seed silver. I've also using, for the clear coat, I'm using a U-pole and a blender and my detailing gun. I've also got a color match for the silver as well from my local paint supplier, and I'll explain why when we get to the section where we're addressing the metallic silver defects on this panel. So I've masked off the panel front and back, applied the Honda gloss black with my detailing gun, and then gone over that with the U-pole clear, and you can see with the masking removed, the repair both to the front and back looks really good. I'm very happy with that. So the next step is going to be to detail out the rest of the panel and complete any touch-ups that might be needed. So for the next stage, I've remasked the decals again to avoid damaging them, and I'm flatting back the panel with 2000 grit wet and dry and some soft foam sanding blocks. And the idea here is to take out any defects, scuffs, and minor scratches in the clear coat, and anything that's any defects left after this process, we know we'll have to handle with paint touch-up. So there are two areas that will need to be addressed after flatting back the panel. We've got two fairly deep scratches in the metallic silver paint here, and then three deep scratches in the black paint. So I'm actually going to use two very different techniques to address each of these. So although these scratches are very deep, they go through the clear coat and the base coat, they're also very thin, and that makes it difficult to touch up. It'll be very difficult to get the paint to flow into those scratches and not be able to visibly see it after the repair is done. So I've decided here I'm going to actually sand those scratches back and then reshoot the metallic silver and blend it into the rest of the panel. I'm helped somewhat by that as well, because the molding here has a right angle to it, and I can shoot the paint up to that molding line and then hide the blend along that molding line. So here you can see I've sanded the scratches back down to the original plastic panel, and then I've masked off the area ready to paint it. And the way I've masked this is I've done a kind of initial mask, which is where I want the clear coat to paint up to, and then I've applied a secondary mask where I want the base coat to paint up to. And the idea is actually that I leave about a 2mm overlap with the clear so that I can seal the edge of the base coat, and that'll also give me an edge that I can blend. So I have the two metallic silver paints, the one from Colorite, which was matched originally to the bike, and then one from my local paint vendor. So I did a spray out card and then laid that on the panel to see which would be the closest match. And as it turns out, the Colorite is a little bit too dark, has a slight bronze tint to it, and the local paint supplier, it's a little too bright, a little bit too silvery. So in the end, what I ended up doing to get the best match was a 50-50 blend of the two. So you can see here, I've gone ahead and sprayed out the silver. I then remove the second layer of masking and I sprayed out the clear, and then I just used the can of blender and I just shot the blender along the overlap and just helped blend that in a little bit more. So here you can see the finished result, which I'm very happy with, and we're still to do a final flat back on this and a polish, so it'll look even better once that's complete. So for the touch up to the scratches in the black paint, I'm going to use a different technique. This part of the panel actually is not easily visible, so I'm just going to use a standard touch-up technique here. I'm mixing some of the Honda Gloss Black with the U-Pole Clear, so I do about a 50-50 mix, and then I'm just going to dab that into the scratches, let that cure overnight, and then I'll wet sand that back flat to the rest of the panel. So here I'm using paint mixed by my local paint shop, and applying the same technique to a couple of scratches in the decals. So that's all the cosmetic repairs done to the panel. All we have left now is to detail it out and also detail out the left-hand side panel, which did not require any cosmetic repairs. So I'm going to flat back the painted areas with 3000 grit foam pad. Then I'll go over it with a heavy cut compound, a medium cut compound, and then a final polish, and then yeah, you'll get to see the final product. And here we have the finished result for both the right panel and the left panel. So once the bike's fully assembled, I will go over and give this a final coat of carnauba wax. But yeah, I'm really happy with the way these turned out. So thank you for watching the video. I think in the next video we will be carrying out the repairs on the rear seat cowl.